All right, let's read. I am Leah, the trans swimmer dividing America tells her story. Leah Thomas has dominated women's college swimming this season. I wonder why. Out of nowhere, he, she, whatever. Here's the thing. I'm not one of the people who won't say she. If it's easier to say she, if it already says she in the article, I'm not going to correct it. If a person passes in front of me and it's believable enough to where I want to say she instead of he, I'm just going to naturally let myself say she. I'm not going to cut myself off and be like, oh, no, that's a man. But also, if you have a beard and you want me to call you a woman, that's not happening either. You have to put some effort into looking like a woman in order for me to call you a woman. But yeah, I think some people hang up on the idea of calling her too much, when really the importance here is the fact that he is competing against women, not the fact that I am saying he is a she. It's just written right here. So for those who are that hard up about the gender pronoun stuff, just know that I know it's a man, okay? Leah Thomas has dominated women's college swimming this season and has also become a lightning rod for controversy. Many, including some teammates, say she shouldn't be able to compete against other women. Yeah, I would say most every single teammate on the team hates her fucking guts. Many, including some teammates, say she shouldn't be able to compete against other women. In exclusive interview with Sports Illustrated, Thomas explains why she has to. I just have to. I have to compete against these women, bro. I'll have to. Fresh off her final practice of the week, the most controversial athlete in America sat in the corner of nearly empty Philadelphia coffee house with her back to the wall. I love how they paint her as a victim. I don't see her as a victim whatsoever at all. You're not going to get sympathy from me when this person is cheating. Leah Thomas had done some of her best work this season while feeling cornered. Why did she do some of her best work? It's obvious. On this January evening, her long torso was wrapped in the University of Pennsylvania swim and dive jacket. Her hair still damp from a swim. Roughly 3 miles staring at the black line on the bottom of the pool. She looked exhausted. As college students across the country were digging into their Friday nights, Thomas was thinking about her weekend plans, sleeping, studying, and another grueling swim practice. This had to be a season unlike any in her 22 years and unlike any in the history of her sport. The shy senior economics major from Austin. She's not that shy. She's not that shy if she will convert himself into a woman to compete against women on a national level and then get the spotlight for it. That person's not shy. Come on. Give me a break. You know, she's just the shy little girl. No, she's actually enormous. Like, she's a man, but, we know that. Oh, God, this is ridiculous. I just can't believe it sometimes that this is a serious conversation. Like, I understand, being nice to people, affirming people, and, letting them live their own lives. But you don't get to do that off the back of women competitors. I would have no problem if this woman just decided to do whatever with her life. You don't get to compete in a college swimming pool. That's when I have a problem with it. Center of National Debate, living, breathing, real-time Rorschach test for how society views those who challenge conventions. It's not that she's challenging conventions. She's cheating. He's cheating. God, way to twist words. I want to show trans kids and younger trans athletes that they're not alone. Bullshit. She says it at the coffee house. They don't have to choose between who they are and the sport they love. I'm sorry, but yeah, you do. And it's not even about choosing who you are. Just focus on the last part there. You don't get to compete against women in sports if you are born a man. Simple as that. Unfortunate. Maybe it's unfortunate, but that's the way it is. We are going to safeguard women's sports and not allow men to completely wreck their shit. That is why we have women's sports. It's why it means something to be the top woman in a sport. If you allow men to come over, be women, and just break all their records, what does it mean anymore to be a woman and to break a fucking record? It doesn't mean anything at that point. It is destroying the concept of women athletics. And I'm not okay with that. And some people are like, well, no one ever cared about women's athletics before this. It's like, yeah, I wasn't watching the WNBA. I wasn't watching women's soccer at my local elementary school. But if I hear about a little boy just basically slide tackling and scoring goals on these little girls on a field next to me, I'm not going to be okay with that. Maybe I'm not going to go watch their season, but I will support the idea that those girls should have a field to play on by themselves as girls. That's what I'll support. Am I super interested in women's athletics? No. Am I interested in women and their rights? Absolutely 100%. In her first year swimming for the Penn women's team after 3 seasons competing against men, Thomas throttled her competition. She set pool, school, and Ivy League records en route to becoming the nation's most powerful female collegiate swimmer. Well, she's not a female collegiate swimmer. That's why she did all that. Photos of Thomas resting at a pool wall and waiting for the rest of the field to finish had become a popular visual shorthand of her dominance. It's shorthand. It works. Just look at her in the swimming pool next to the women. You can see how big her shoulders are, how big her arms are, how long she is. These are attributes that make you a good swimmer. Okay? And as 450th as a man, she dominates the women. This is why we cannot have it allowed. When she swims at the NCAA Women's Division I Swimming and Diving Championship, which began March 16th in Atlanta, Thomas is a favorite to win individual titles in the 200, the 500-yard freestyle events. I put money on it. Where do I bet? She has an outside chance to break long-standing collegiate records held by Katie Ledecky and Miss Franklin, two of the most beloved American Olympians of this century. Okay, so Olympian women swimmers. Now you'll have people coming out and say, well, why can't the 450th best man swimmer beat the best Olympic swimmers ever? At that point, they try to make the argument of, well, look, she's actually not that dominant. She can't even beat the records of these Olympians. Maybe if it was like number 3 man in the swimming in his division and he came over to swim against girls, he would absolutely beat those records. We're talking 450th best male swimmer, and he dominates his Ivy League competition. That doesn't mean he's necessarily going to beat Olympic competition with women. It's possible. He could. And that's saying something when he's 450th as a man. Thomas says she has ambitions to compete beyond college, which could set her on course to be Ledecky's teammate at the 2024 Games in Paris and perhaps challenge Ledecky's Olympic records. Wow. I don't know exactly what the future of my swimming will look like after this, but I would love to continue doing it, Thomas says. I want to swim and compete as who I am. I love all the attention that I'm getting, and I'd love to keep getting recognition for beating these records, even though it's unfair and I know it. I'm enjoying it. I'm enjoying the attention and swimming better than I ever have in my life. It sucked being 450th best as a man. It sucked showing up to competitions and always getting last. You know? Now when I show up to a competition, every single camera's on me and I get first every time. You don't think that athletes, competitors would do this type of thing? Some people think it's an outrageous thought that a man would compete against women to win. Do we see the lengths that men go to win in their sport? Even women. Like, they will take steroids. They will cheat. I mean, we're talking even people in the UFC will take steroids and possibly injure another person to get a leg up on competition. So it is not some crazy thought that a man would compete against women in order to win. It's really not. Men have done crazier things, you know? A vocal faction wonders, though, whether her participation in women's swimming is fair. It's not. Michael Phelps said there needs to be an even playing field within the sport. The editors of Swimming World likened Thomas to the doping-fueled athletes of East Germany and China. Well, essentially, it may lower testosterone to the levels of a woman, they say, when you go on hormone replacement therapy. But there are so many things that are left that aren't just testosterone that help with athletics. You're just talking pure size. Hand size, bone density. It's not just testosterone alone that makes men so much more athletic than women. There are multiple factors, and to say that you can just strip testosterone away and make testosterone to the same of that of a woman that age, you can't do that and expect a man still not to hold an advantage. It's silly. Thomas' story has also become a right-wing obsession. There it is. It's somehow a right-wing obsession. No, it's just people looking around in awe at how this is even allowed to happen, at how this is even a conversation. And granted, people on the right care more about this. People on the left cheer this stuff on, but it's not just a right-wing obsession. This is a good thing to be talking about. This is a good thing to be interested in. This is important. This means a lot for the future of women's athletics in America. So it's not an obsession about trans women, for fuck's sake. But that's how the left tries to spin it all the time. Oh, you're just obsessed with trans people. Get the fuck out of here, man. I got a girlfriend. I'm fine with what I got, all right? But I do care about women's athletics. That doesn't mean I'm secretly into trans people, but whatever. And I love how they use that as an insult, too. Apparently that wouldn't be an insult to them. To be into a trans person sexually is not an insult, so why do you use it as one? Apparently because they would assume that a right-wing person wouldn't like that, being called, that they're into trans people. They'd be like, oh, I'm not. So maybe that's why they do it, but it's still silly. Conservative opinion sites have called her a man. Oh, she is a man, motherfucker. Goddamn. She is a man. God. And dead named her, purposefully using the name she went by before transitioning. Well, if I'm referring to who she was before, I'm going to have to use her dead name. Her moves have been minutely tracked by the UK's Daily Mail, including once the cruel detail about her habits in the women's locker room. I want to know, what are the habits? What is she doing? Does she have a penis? I want to know these things. People are like, well, you don't need to know what's in her pants. I absolutely do. She's swimming in the pool with women. Does she have a penis or not? These are simple questions that we used to be able to ask. Hey, why does that person have a big bulge swimming against women? No. That's a woman. Shut the fuck up. Her moves have been minute tracked. They're trying to pretend all this is some sort of transphobia when it's just, it's curiosity as to why this is happening. It's not transphobia. Her moves have been tracked by the UK's Daily Mail, including once the cruel detail about her habits in the women's locker room. What is she jerking off in there? Provided by an anonymous teammate. An anonymous teammate said she keeps wanking off in the corner to all of us. The New York Times, the Washington Post, and I'm being so transphobic, holy shit. The Wall Street Journal have also written about her. The attention directed at Thomas has widened to the rest of her team, which has become bitterly divided. Mike Schnurr, Pins, men's, and women's coach, has received a litany of hateful emails during a training trip early this year in Florida. The school's swimmers were asked by coaches not to wear their school gear lest they make themselves targets. The university's social media handlers have turned off comments on. This is what's crazy. Some posts that mention their star, even USA Swimming has fielded calls from parents of youth swimmers worried the next Leah Thomas might take over their pool. What's insane is that it can be women themselves in the pool with this man complaining that this is unfair. And you're still going to have people tell these women that they're bigots because they don't want to swim against a man. These are the crazy, freaky times we live in, where people try to convince you of things that are not real. And if you don't accept the things that are not real, somehow you become bigoted in their eyes. To be reasonable, to use logic, is to be bigoted in a current era. No doubt. I'm a woman, just like anybody else on the team. No, you're not, Leah. You're not. Like, here's the thing. I would allow Leah to live as a woman around me. I wouldn't constantly be dead-naming Leah. I probably wouldn't be friends with Leah. We probably don't see eye to eye on a lot of things, but if we happen to be friends, I wouldn't constantly call her out on these things. But you cannot sit here and tell me you're exactly like the rest of the women in the pool. You're not, for fuck's sake.